So we're going to create these pieces of collateral. They are in your workbook. If you keep going in your workbook, go to page 7, task number 1, creating a one-liner. This is one sentence. I'm not a believer in magic, but if there was a magical sentence that could grow your business, this would be that sentence. It's the one-liner. Okay? So the one-liner is 3 parts to the one-liner. You're going to start with the problem, and then you're going to move to the product or solution, and then you're going to hit the result. So the problem, the product or the resolution, and then the result. All right? So I'm going to give you a little time to work on each, but you know, a one-liner is, of course, it starts with the problem, and the problem can be something like this. This is for Circuit e-bikes. With 110 people moving to Nashville every day, people are wasting more and more time sitting in traffic. Okay, so what is the problem I chose to identify? It's traffic. The very first thing out of your mouth when somebody says what you do should be, you know how people struggle with X? Remember my chef? You know how families aren't eating together anymore? Why do we want to start with the problem? Because it's the hook. Why not start with, well, I'm the CEO of Business Made Simple, because nobody knows what Business Made Simple is, right? So I need to say, you know how most people go to college and get a business degree and still don't know how to grow a business? I'm the CEO of, and not only that, they end up in debt. I'm the CEO of a company called Business Made Simple. We have an online platform that is the equivalent of an MBA, only it costs pennies on the dollar, and you actually remember what you learn so that anybody can be a value-driven professional and grow their company. That's a one-liner. I start with the problem. So if they ask me what I do, I start with the problem I solve. Why? Because until I know, as a stranger to you, until I know the problem you solve, I don't know whether or not you are useful to my survival. I know that sounds very utilitarian. I hate that it's that utilitarian. But we're on the planet to survive, and so these are good mechanisms. And I trust that everybody has family and close friends that really take care of them. But most of our relationships are, in fact, professional. They're utilitarian relationships. And certainly business relationships are that way. I mean, we have friends in business, people that we will sacrifice for if we've got curiosity, enlightenment, and commitment. But most of the time, an authentic business relationship is, in fact, transactional. So I am just looking for whether or not you can solve my problem. And until you get to the problem, I don't know why you're useful. So why not say it first thing? I've dissected a lot of speeches that people have given over the years. And they'll come to me and say, Don, can you watch my TED Talk or whatever and help me make it better? One of the biggest mistakes that you can make as a public speaker is walking to the stage and saying, my name is such and such, and I live here in Nashville, and blah, 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 you know, and start rambling. The very first thing that needs to come out of your mouth if you're giving a presentation is, folks, thanks for having me. We're all here because we're struggling with X. And struggling with X, I know, is very painful. And the reality is none of us should have to struggle with X. My name's Don Miller. Because my name and who I am don't matter until they know the problem that we're going to try to solve together. And they can choose to identify with that and say, I've got that problem too. Or they can say, I don't have that problem, so I'm going to tune out of this conversation. But you've got to start with the problem. Next is the product. I'm an at-home chef. Don't overthink this. Don't say, you know how most families don't eat together anymore, and when they do, they don't eat healthy? Well, I went to culinary school in the 90s in Portland, and that was when the town was really booming. And a lot of people there weren't eating fish at the time. I've just lost the audience, right? I'm an at-home chef. That's it. Get in and out. Don't use too many words. Just say, I make medicine. Have you ever had a toothache? I make medicine for toothaches. That's it. That's all you're trying to communicate. Then the third part of the sentence is the result. And the result is the happily ever after state that your customer will be in after they use your product, so that families can eat together and not feel guilty about what they're feeding their family and bond with each other. You create a visual, if you can, doesn't have to be visual, but if you can, create a visual scene of what that family's life will look like if they use your product or service, what that customer's product or service would look like. So the first part, of course, is we start with a problem. And the problem is, with 110 people moving to Nashville every day, people are wasting more time sitting in traffic. All right, on page 5 or 7, I give you a chance to talk about your problem. And I give you the example of Circuit e-bikes. I want you to take 5 minutes and brainstorm number 1. Don't go ahead and fill out number 2. Just number 1 on page 7. Now, here's the thing about stating the problem. 2 things here. One is, you got to decide a problem. You can't have 5 or 6. Remember, commas are not your friend. There's got to be one big problem that you solve. That's challenge number 1 that I'm giving to you right now. Challenge number 2 is, I need to feel it. I need to feel it. So if you say, you know, family bonding is paramount for human satisfaction. I don't feel that. But if you say, most families don't eat together anymore, and when they do, they don't eat healthy, I feel it. You see what I'm saying? Don't give me language that's so clever and elusive and sounds poetic that it's not a problem anybody can actually identify with. Right? Yeah. Okay, so you're going to have 5 minutes, only fill out problem, then you're going to fill out product, then you're going to fill out result, then we're going to put them all together, and then you're going to give me your examples, and I'm going to tell you how I think they can be better, or maybe they're doing really good. All right, fill out number 1. You got 5 minutes on page 7. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too difficult an assignment for you. You really just want people to be able to feel that. What we're going to do is we're going to do all 3 parts of it, put them together, and then we'll hear from you and your completed one-liners. The next part that you want is the solution. This you really don't need much time on. I'm just going to stay on screen and give you a couple minutes. But you just want that, I'm an at-home chef, or we have a special gym, or we sell playgrounds for the backyard, or you know, whatever it is. You just want to state the product. Now, here's only one place that people mess this up. The product and the solution don't match. And so they'll say something like, oh gosh, you know, a lot of people have trouble with work-life balance. We sell a computer that makes your work more efficient. And I'm like, well, your computer doesn't solve work-life balance. That's something else. So, you know what I mean? They'll just mix, they'll mess up the solution to the problem. And so you want to make sure that whatever you state, whatever product it is, very clearly solves the problem that you just wrote down, okay? So now, get your part where you just say, I'm an at-home chef, or whatever your version of that is. I'm not going to, we'll go to a blank screen, but I'm going to give you about 60 seconds to do that. All right, terrific. I hope that wasn't too much trouble. And there's a third part to this one-liner that you want to create. And the third part is the result. This is the happily ever after. You know, really what a one-liner is it's a short story. It's this family struggled with this, then they got an at-home chef, now they eat together all the time. That's a story. Character that wants something has to overcome conflict in order to get it. And so your one-liner is just creating a short story. The third part, you'll get hours back in your day and breeze through life. This is to state the positive result that your customer will experience if they buy your product or service. And if you can, make it visual, right? If you can make it visual, you don't have to, but if they can visualize that climactic scene, they will head toward it. And if you make it visual language, they're much more likely to head toward it. So part 3, state the positive result. And then next, don't worry about putting them all together. We're going to put them all together next, and then I'm going to challenge you with a specific challenge. But start part 3, what's the result of using your product or service? Go ahead. You've got 5 minutes. Okay, congrats. You've got your one-liner in pieces at least. And now what you need to do is combine them. So there at the bottom of your page, it says, now let's put it all together on page 8. You're going to put your entire one-liner into one sentence. And here's the challenge. I said I was going to challenge you to do something. I want you to pretty much cut it in half. Let's get rid of most of those words. I don't even have to read them to know they're too long. You're going to want to add commas and add all sorts of descriptions. And, you know, I learned a long time ago as a writer, it improved my writing so much when I was writing books, to not use the word very. That you don't say it was a very scary earthquake. You say it was a scary earthquake. And you know, of course, you know what else I'm talking about. All the other stuff that you add, it was a heart-wrenching, really terrifying. It was a scary earthquake. And let's move on with the sentence. Because what you're doing is you're throwing bowling balls into all these sentences, and you're making them too heavy, and people are having to burn more calories to process them, which means more people are going to spit them out. So we really want it to go down like a piece of candy, right? Just easy, easy, easy. So now I want you to take those 3 parts, put them together in one-liner, put them into, not the chat, is that right, Bethany, or something else?
In the chat.
Put them in the chat there in Slack. Bethany's going to hand choose some, and we're going to put them up on the screen, and we're going to take a few of them and just deconstruct them. Now, even if I don't choose yours, you are going to learn a lot or from what we're doing today, okay? You got 5 minutes to put it into one sentence, cut it in half, and get it into Slack. All right? 5 minutes. All right. Great job, I hope. Let's see if we can read some of them and edit them and see what we think. Okay, Bethany, I'll go to you.
Yeah.
And you tell me who you think we should read.
Let's start with Tyler. Tyler really nailed it on short and sweet.
Okay.
He said, the cost of quality homes in great neighborhoods is rising beyond the obtainability of the middle class. We offer a quick start process to find and design your home at a price you can afford.
Okay. Tyler, you know, for the first one we're reading, just excellent job. There's a lot that's really good here. I'm going to be a little bit nitpicky, and that's just because we have to learn, so I've got to find something that can be improved upon. The cost of quality homes in great neighborhoods is a great first few words out of your mouth. From there, here, go back to the sentence. From there, I think it deteriorates. Is rising beyond the obtainability of the middle class requires a lot of calories to figure out what you're talking about. So if you actually just say, most people these days can't afford their dream home. Do you see how most people these days can't afford their dream home? It takes less calories to understand than the cost of quality homes in great neighborhoods is rising beyond the obtainability of the middle class. You see the difference? One was written by a lawyer. The other was written by a guy just having a conversation. So we want to make that sentence worded in such a way that nobody has to think about it. We offer a quick start process to find and design your home at a price you can afford. I think that's just fine, Tyler. I think, you know, at Acme Architects or whatever firm you represent, I don't think I have much to say about that. I think it works just fine. I would say this. You didn't put a third, so there is no result. So it's at a home at a price I can afford, so you can live in your dream home, or so you can be one of the few people who go home every day to your dream home. That would be the third part of it. It feels like there's a little bit of a second part with home at a price you can afford, but I would say that's more your product. It's not a result of what happens because I bought your product. You want to, if you can put a because or so that, pardon me, if you can put so that at the end of your one-liner, you probably didn't have part 3. So your home at a price you can afford so that you can go home every day to your dream home. By the way, go home every day and walk through the door of your dream home is visual. Now we got a visual climactic scene. So Tyler, very little to change about that one-liner. It's really, really good. I think making a few edits makes it even better. All right, Bethany?
Great work, Tyler. Okay, now we're moving on to Colleen. Colleen gave us a longer option and a shorter option, but I think we're going to work on the longer option because there's some good meat there. With thousands of styles to choose from, women can't figure out what to wear. With the Do-It-Yourself Style Academy, you'll know exactly what to wear so that every day you'll walk out of the house with confidence, knowing you look and feel fascinating.
Colleen, another exceptional one. I especially like parts 2 and 3. Part 1 works, but I don't think it hits home enough. So with thousands of styles to choose from, women can't figure out what to wear. I would say something like most women have no idea how great they can look once they get their style right. Now we've got, you kind of go, okay, well now there's fear of missing out, and there's this whole idea of something that I can have that, and information is being withheld from me. With thousands of styles to choose from, women can't figure out what to wear. I mean, you know, that's a choice. Maybe it's a better choice than what I recommended, but I do feel like we need to redo part 1 where we really feel it strongly. I'm not a woman who can't figure out what to wear. I only have like 8 things, and it's kind of geranimals. They all go together. So I think you might choose something else there. But other than that, Colleen, I would say that's an exceptionally good one-liner. And not only that, but if you change nothing about this one-liner, it's going to perform really well for you. Okay.
Oh, Colleen said, wow, that brought tears to my eyes. We are so happy you're here, Colleen. I'm going to cry now, too. Okay, moving on. Russ says, if you have had chemo, you must stay out of the sun. Well, just imagine if you were able to go outdoors again without worrying that you were in the sun too long. You will now have a quick and easy solution that will shield you from the sun's damaging UV rays.
You know, Russ, there's almost nothing I can say about that because it really is so good. I do want to point out some things that you did right, just so we can all learn from it. You got the word chemo in there early. A lot of people would have made the mistake of putting chemo later. So they would have said something like, the sun can be really hard on your skin. Those struggling with chemotherapy, you know what I mean? Where I'm like, wait, where did chemo come from? And instead, you got it in early, so it never feels like it's coming out of left field later. I think you might be the only one who's ever done that, who's ever gotten that right in a situation like this. Well, just imagine if you were able to go outdoors again without worrying you were in the sun too long. Okay, so the only thing that's missing from your one-liner is the product. You tell me what the product will do, that it will help me go outside, but you don't tell me if it's a cream, if it's a big umbrella that I hold, if it's a cloud that follows me around. You don't tell me what the product is. So that's the only thing I would say. We need to say, with such and such, you will be able to, or something like that. Okay? Yeah, you'll sell a lot more product if you tell people what it is.
Love it.
All right, so that's 3?
That's 3.
That's great. Okay, let's keep going, and we want to build the next part of the framework. But before we do that, you know, when we put it all together, you want to be able to do something with this one-liner. And, you know, you don't get points for fumbling the ball on the 1-yard line. The one-liner has to go into marketing copy that other people read and have a chance to respond to. So I challenge you to do some things with your one-liner. First, memorize it. Actually put it to memory. And it's going to take some discipline. But when somebody asks what you do, don't tell them what you used to tell them. I want you to speak your one-liner. It's going to feel really clunky and awkward. It really will. But if you say it, I'm telling you, people are going to go, wow, you're useful. And if they don't have that problem, their uncle has that problem or their aunt has that problem. Have your entire staff memorize it. Just have everybody memorize that one-liner because you will convert everybody in the organization into a sales force. Put it on the back of your business card. Print it in small text, but put it on the back of your business card. And here's why. I'll get home from a trip, and my wife has seen me do this 100 times. I'll stand at the kitchen counter and I just start putting down business cards that people have handed me. And there's 30 of them. And 27 of them, I can't remember the person. And 3 of them, I'm like, oh, yeah, I need to call that person. They have a thing I need to just, think about, and I need to call them. If there was a one-liner on the back of your business card, that wouldn't happen. I'd read it and go, oh, I got this card because I'm struggling with this problem, and this person fixes that problem. So your business card turns into a piece of sales and marketing collateral when you put a one-liner on the back. It's also going to challenge you to make that one-liner a little bit shorter. All right. You want to make it your email signature. So make it the email signature, and make it the email signature of every person in your organization. Write it on the wall of your retail space if you can, and also make it the first sentence of your explanatory paragraph on your website, which we're going to get to in a minute. Okay? So make it the first sentence of your explanatory paragraph, and I'll explain that to you a little bit later.